Hey, you ready to really dive deep into this whole world of intermittent fasting? We've got a whole stack of research articles here,
Yeah.
all about how it affects your heart, your brain,
Mm.
even how your cells age.
Yeah, this is really fascinating stuff. We're seeing more and more research suggesting that IF isn't just some,
Right.
trendy diet,
Yeah,
but it could actually be a key to living a healthier and maybe even longer life.
absolutely. Okay, so before we get into all the details, let's make sure we're all on the same page here. When we talk about intermittent fasting, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, it's basically a pattern of eating and planned fasting.
Okay.
So it's really about strategically timing your meals to give your body a break from digesting food all the time.
So instead of like grazing all day, you're giving your system a chance to reset?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a few popular ways to do this, each with its own kind of rhythm.
Okay.
One method is called time-restricted eating, or TRE, where you eat within a specific window every day, like the 16.8 method, for example. You fast for 16 hours and eat within an 8-hour window.
Yeah, that's the one I hear about most often. Are
Yep.
there other methods people use?
Yeah, there's alternate day fasting, or ADF, where you switch between full fasting days and normal eating days.
Mm.
And then there's the 5.2 diet, where you eat normally for 5 days and then restrict calories to 500 to 700 for 2 non-consecutive days.
Okay, so it's about finding a schedule that actually fits into your life. What I'm really curious about is WHY-ICAF is getting so much attention.
hmm
What does the science say about how it actually works?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
One of the key mechanisms is something called cellular renewal, also known as autophagy.
Okay.
Basically, when you fast, it triggers your cells to clean house, get rid of damaged parts, and essentially recycle themselves
Wow.
for better function. There was this one study that found that in mice, a 24-hour fast significantly increased the rate of autophagy in the liver and brain,
Hmm.
which suggests it could be a really powerful way to promote cellular rejuvenation,
So it's like giving your cells a spa day. Uh-huh.
a chance to detox and renew themselves.
Exactly. And there are hormonal changes that happen too.
Okay.
IF can actually lower your insulin levels,
Okay.
which is great for burning fat and may even help protect against diabetes.
So how does IAP affect insulin differently than just cutting calories overall?
Well, when you eat frequently, your body's constantly producing insulin to process the glucose coming in.
Right.
But with NF, you're giving your body longer breaks from insulin production, which can actually improve your insulin sensitivity over time,
Okay.
meaning your body gets better at using insulin
Hmm.
and your cells respond better to it. This can be really helpful for preventing insulin resistance, which is a precursor to type 2 diabetes.
Oh, so it's not just about how many CH you eat, but also about the timing
Right.
and giving your body a break.
Exactly. And MIF can also increase human growth hormone, or HGH, which has been linked to muscle growth and anti-aging effects.
Okay, so that's two major hormones impacted. Is there anything else happening hormonally during a fast? Yeah. There's also an increase in norepinephrine, which is a stress hormone, but it can actually boost alertness and cognitive function.
Interesting.
Some people even report feeling more focused and energized during their fasting periods.
So there's this potential cognitive boost along with the cellular and metabolic changes. Does IF impact our metabolism in other ways too?
It does. It seems to train your body to switch between using sugar and fat for fuel more efficiently.
Okay.
This is called metabolic flexibility, and it's great for energy levels and your overall health.
So like your body's seamlessly switching between burning sugar and fat depending on what's available.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds incredibly beneficial, especially in today's world where we are just bombarded with sugary foods all the time.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the heart. Does I actually improve heart health?
Studies are finding that IF may help lower blood pressure, improve cholesterol levels, and even reduce inflammation, which is all good news for your cardiovascular system. Like, for instance, one study found that people with metabolic syndrome who followed a time-restricted feeding plan for 12 weeks saw significant reductions in their blood pressure,
Wow.
even greater than those who simply just reduced their calorie intake.
That's impressive. It really emphasizes the power of when you eat,
Yeah.
not just what you eat. Wait, are there brain benefits too?
Oh, you bet. There was a study that found that intermittent fasting actually improved memory function in a group of adults with mild cognitive impairment. It seems that fasting can stimulate the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF,
Okay.
a protein that supports the growth and survival of brain cells.
So IF could potentially help us think more clearly and you protect our brains as we age.
Right.
It's like a 2-for-1 deal for brain health.
Uh-huh. Right,
That's not all.
Yeah. IF has also been shown to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation in the brain,
Oh, wow.
both of which are thought to contribute to cognitive decline and neurodegenerative diseases.
This is really remarkable. It seems like IF has the potential to impact so many different aspects of our health and well-being.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Now let's see how all this science plays out in the real world. We came across the story of Cynthia Thurlow, a nurse practitioner and functional nutritionist who's a big advocate for IF, particularly for women. What can her experience tell us about applying these IF principles?
Well, Thurlow's perspective is particularly interesting because she focuses on the unique challenges and opportunities that women face when it comes to health and aging. Let's dig into what she's observed. So we were talking about Cynthia Thurlow and her work with women in IF.
Yes, I'm really curious to hear more about her insights. In her TEDx talk, she talks about this huge shift in health and wellness she's seen over the past 20 years.
Right.
With more and more people struggling with obesity, diabetes, heart disease.
Yeah, and she really emphasizes how many of these conditions are actually preventable, especially through lifestyle changes like IF.
So it's not just about genetics or bad luck. We actually have a lot of control over our health.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's a big believer in the power of nutrition, but she challenges that traditional calories in, calories out approach.
I'm intrigued. Why doesn't she think that works?
Well, she's found that for a lot of her patients, especially women, constantly snacking and eating multiple meals throughout the day can overtax our digestive systems and lead to problems with how our bodies absorb nutrients.
It's like our bodies are constantly in go mode, never getting a chance to rest and digest properly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She makes this distinction between sugar burners and fat burners.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's the difference?
So sugar burner is someone who mainly relies on glucose from carbohydrates for energy.
Okay.
They tend to be hungrier, have energy dips, struggle with fat loss because their insulin levels are always high. And insulin is a fat-storing hormone.
That makes sense. If you're constantly snacking on sugary foods, your body gets really good at storing fat.
Exactly. Now, a fat burner is someone who can use their fat stores for energy efficiently. They usually have more sustained energy, better mental clarity, and easier time losing weight.
So becoming a fat burner sounds like the key to unlocking all those metabolic benefits we talked about.
Right. And Thurlow believes that EF can actually help us make that shift by giving our bodies a chance to deplete their glucose stores and start burning fat for fuel.
So instead of relying on that quick hit of sugar, our bodies become more adapted to using stored fat for energy.
Exactly.
Oh.
Now let's talk about the challenges that women often face as they age.
Okay, what does Thurlow say about that?
She brings up some pretty alarming statistics about women and aging.
Okay.
She points out that 2/3 of women between 40 and 50 are overweight and more than half are obese.
Wow, these numbers are concerning. Why does this happen?
Well, there's this misconception that weight gain is just inevitable as we age.
Right.
But Thurlow argues that it's not. She thinks a lot of it has to do with lifestyle factors,
Okay.
like poor diet, lack of exercise, chronic stress, which can all mess with hormonal balance and lead to weight gain.
So it's not just about our metabolism slowing down.
A whole bunch of factors that we can actually do something about.
Exactly. And she says that women in their 50s and 60s gain an average of 1.5 pounds every year.
That's a lot over time.
It is. What does she suggest women do to combat these challenges?
Yeah, what's her advice?
Well, Thurlow believes that IF can be really powerful for addressing these age-related changes and helping women regain their energy and vitality. She even calls IF the magic bullet for a lot of women.
That's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah.
Why does she think IF is so beneficial for women specifically?
She's found that IF can help balance hormones, reduce inflammation, and boost metabolism, which are all super important for women as they go through hormonal shifts as they age. For example, she's found that IF can help regulate cortisol, which is a stress hormone that can contribute to weight gain and belly fat,
Okay.
especially during menopause.
So it's like IF is helping to rebalance the body from the inside out? Exactly. And she emphasizes that IF is not a quick fix or a fad diet. It's a sustainable lifestyle change that can help women improve their health and feel their best at any age.
It's about creating a new normal, not just a temporary fix. What type of IF does she typically recommend?
She usually recommends a 16.8 approach for her female patients with the 16-hour fasting window and an 8-hour eating window.
Why that one in particular?
Well, she's found that this approach tends to be manageable for most women. It gives the body enough time to tap into those fat stores
Yeah.
without feeling overly restrictive.
Okay, so you're not starving yourself. You're just shifting your eating window.
Right. And she highlights how simply skipping breakfast can cut your calorie intake by 20 to 40%,
Wow.
which can really help with weight loss.
That's interesting. It's not about cutting out whole food groups or drastically reducing portions.
Right.
It's about timing your meals strategically.
Exactly. And Thurlow emphasizes that IF is about more than just weight loss. She lists all these other benefits, including improved mental clarity, increased human growth hormone, and autophagy. Remember that cellular cleanup process we talked about?
Right. And she also mentions lower insulin levels, improved blood pressure and cholesterol, even a reduced risk of cancer and Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah, it's important to note that the research on those long-term benefits is still ongoing,
Right.
but the early findings are definitely promising.
I'm impressed by the range of potential benefits.
Yeah.
It really shows how IF is a holistic approach to health affecting so many systems in the body. Now, I know we've talked about some of the downsides of IF already, but are there any specific risks or considerations that Thurlow mentions?
Yes, she cautions against IF for people with brittle diabetes, children, and adolescents.
Okay.
Those over 70 pregnant women, people with chronic heart, kidney, or renal issues, and those with a history of disordered eating.
So it's really important to talk to your doctor before starting IF,
Absolutely.
especially if you have any underlying health conditions.
Right, it's not one size fits all.
Right.
And you need to make sure it's right for you. Now let's get into some practical tips for people who are interested in trying IF.
Okay, what does Thurlow recommend?
Well, she emphasizes that you can drink things like filtered water, plain coffee, or tea without breaking your fast.
So you don't have to go through those fasting hours feeling completely parched.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These drinks won't spike your insulin and will keep you hydrated. And when it comes to breaking your fast, she recommends focusing on real whole foods to nourish your body.
Makes sense. So no processed junk or sugary drinks when you break your fast.
Right. She suggests prioritizing high-quality protein, healthy fats, and unprocessed carbohydrates.
So it's about fueling your body with nutrient-dense foods that will keep you feeling full and energized.
Exactly. And she specifically says to limit sugar and alcohol, since those can counteract the benefits of IF. She also stresses staying well hydrated all day. Hydration is key for overall health.
Right.
And it's even more important when you're changing your eating patterns.
It's like giving your body the best environment to thrive in.
Exactly. Now, I know starting something new can be daunting. What tips does Thurlow have for easing into IF?
Well, she gives some really practical tips like gradually increasing your fasting window by an hour or so each day until you reach your goal.
Yeah, that's a gentle approach that lets your body adjust.
It's like dipping your toes in the water instead of diving headfirst.
Exactly. And she says to give IF a good 30 days before deciding if it's right for you.
Okay.
And to talk to your doctor if you have any underlying health conditions.
It's so important to listen to your body and be patient with the process.
Absolutely.
It might take time to find the right approach and see the full benefits.
Right. And she points out that it may take 6 to 8 weeks to see the full effects of IF. Patience and consistency are key.
You know, hearing Thurlow's perspective and how she uses IF with her patients really brings this whole concept to life. It's not just about abstract studies. It's about real people experiencing real benefits.
I agree. It's inspiring to see how IF can be such a transformative tool for improving health and well-being.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've looked at the experiences of one IF advocate.
Right.
What other real-world insights can we get from our research articles?
Well, one really fascinating study published in Nature Communications looked at the effects of a fasting-mimicking diet, or FMD.
Okay.
This diet is designed to mimic the effects of fasting while still providing some nutrients.
So it's like a more controlled, less extreme version of a full-on fast.
Exactly. The FMD in this study involved 5-day cycles of a low-calorie, low-protein, and low-carbohydrate diet that was high in unsaturated fats, like the ones found in olive oil, nuts, and seeds.
So it's not about complete deprivation.
Right.
It's about strategically adjusting your calorie and macro intake.
Exactly. What did they find?
Yeah, what were the results?
Well, the researchers found that this FMD led to some really remarkable improvements in health markers, including reduced insulin resistance, lower levels of HbA1c, decreased abdominal fat, and reduced fat in the liver.
Wow, those are some significant improvements. It sounds like even just mimicking the effects of fasting can really benefit metabolic health.
It really can. And there's more. The researchers also saw signs of a more youthful immune system and a reduced biological age.
Hold on. So this diet might actually slow down aging?
That's what the findings suggest. The researchers used a measure of biological age that looks at various markers of metabolism, heart health, lung function, liver function, immune system, health inflammation, and blood cell function.
So it's not just about how old you are chronologically,
Right.
but how well your body is actually working.
Exactly. And they found that after 3 cycles of this FMD, the average biological age of participants had decreased by almost 2.5 years.
That's incredible. But was this a large study?
It's important to remember that this is a small study.
Right.
And we need more research to confirm these findings, but it's definitely exciting to see the potential of a fasting-mimicking diet to impact health and longevity.
Absolutely. It adds to the growing evidence suggesting that IF can be a powerful tool for improving our health and well-being. Are there other conditions researchers are looking at in relation to IF?
Yes, one area that's getting a lot of attention is the potential for IF to help manage and even prevent type 2 diabetes. Let's look at that.
So we were talking about the potential of IF for managing type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, we were discussing how IF can have an impact on insulin sensitivity and blood sugar regulation, which are both really important for preventing and managing type 2 diabetes.
So how does IF actually help with diabetes?
Well, there have been several studies that have shown that IF can actually improve insulin sensitivity,
Okay.
meaning your body becomes more efficient at using insulin to lower blood sugar levels.
Hmm.
In one study, people with type 2 diabetes who followed an intermittent fasting plan for 12 weeks saw significant reductions in their HbA1c levels.
Okay.
Remember, that's a measure of long-term blood sugar control.
Right.
They also saw reductions in their fasting blood sugar levels and body weight.
It sounds like IF could be a really valuable tool, not just for managing diabetes, but maybe even preventing it in those who are pre-diabetic.
Yeah, exactly. By addressing insulin resistance early on, IF might help prevent or delay the progression from prediabetes to full-blown type 2 diabetes.
Hmm.
And it's not just about blood sugar control. IF has also shown promise for improving other metabolic markers,
Okay.
like cholesterol levels and blood pressure, which are all connected.
So it's like a multi-pronged approach to improving metabolic health, which is especially important for those at risk of developing diabetes. Now, I know we've talked a lot about the potential benefits of IF,
Right.
but what about the long-term effects? Is it safe to do for years, even decades?
That's a really good question, and one that researchers are still looking into.
Yeah.
We have a lot of data on the short-term benefits of IF,
Right.
but we need more long-term studies to fully understand its potential impact over time.
So we're still in the early stages of understanding the long-term effects, but what does the current evidence suggest?
Well, the research we have now suggests that IF is likely safe for most healthy adults
Okay.
when it's done properly and under the guidance of a healthcare professional.
Right.
However, long-term studies are definitely needed to confirm these findings and to assess the potential risks and benefits over extended periods.
Yeah, it makes sense that we need more research to really get the full picture.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious about some of the more cutting-edge research happening with IF. What are researchers exploring these days?
Well, one area that's really exciting is the research on IF and brain health.
Okay.
We already talked about how IF can boost BDNF, that protein that helps brain cells grow and survive.
Yeah.
Some studies suggest that IF might even protect against neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's disease.
Wow.
For instance, one study found that mice who followed an intermittent fasting plan had a delayed onset and reduced severity of Alzheimer's disease compared to mice who had unlimited access to food.
That's remarkable. It's like IF is giving the brain this extra resilience against age-related decline. What other areas of IF research are you particularly interested in?
Another area I find really fascinating is the research on IF and cancer. Some studies are suggesting that IF might make cancer cells more vulnerable to chemotherapy and radiation therapy.
Wow.
It's still a pretty new area of research, but it's showing a lot of promise.
So IF could potentially be used as a complementary therapy alongside conventional cancer treatments.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also growing evidence that IF might help prevent certain types of cancer from developing in the first place.
That's incredible. It seems like every day there's a new discovery about the potential benefits of IF.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's really exciting.
Now, I want to bring up something we mentioned earlier, the ethical considerations around IF, especially when it comes to longevity.
Yeah, as we learn more about IF's potential to extend lifespan,
Right.
it's really important that we have conversations about the ethical implications of living longer. If we significantly increase the human lifespan, it would have a huge impact on society.
Right.
From healthcare systems to resource allocation to the meaning of life and death.
It's a lot to think about. It's like we're stepping into uncharted territory and we need to be cautious and wise.
Absolutely. It's important to remember that technology and these scientific advancements are tools.
Yeah.
And like any tool, they can be used for good or for bad.
Yeah.
We need to have thoughtful discussions about how to use these advancements to benefit all of humanity.
That's a really important reminder. It's not just about living longer. It's about living better and creating a more just and equitable world for everyone.
I agree. Well said.
This deep dive into intermittent fasting has been truly eye-opening. We've covered so much, from how it worked at the cellular level, to the potential benefits for all sorts of health conditions, to the ethical considerations surrounding longevity. What are some key takeaways you hope listeners will walk away with?
I think the most important takeaway is that IF is a powerful tool with the potential to really improve our health and well-being in some pretty amazing ways.
Yeah.
It's not a quick fix or a fad diet.
Right.
But a sustainable way of life
Yeah.
that can help us tap into our body's own healing abilities.
It's about taking control of our health and empowering ourselves to make choices that support our long-term well-being.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a reminder that our understanding of health and longevity is always evolving. What seemed impossible a few decades ago is now becoming a reality. It's a really exciting time to be alive.
Yeah.
And to see these amazing discoveries that are pushing the boundaries of human potential.
Absolutely. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage our listeners to keep learning about IF, to do their own research, and to talk to their healthcare providers about whether IF might be right for them.
And remember, health is a journey, not a destination. It's about making choices every day that support our physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into intermittent fasting. We'll see you next time for another fascinating look at health and wellness.